this Nintendo Joy-Con stick drift controversy that's been going on. Wanted to kind of, we haven't really touched on that in the PvA Nightly Rundown, and so want to get you guys caught up on this because it has been a couple days of developments on this story, and so more and more of these cases of the Joy-Con stick drift have been popping up lately. There was a Reddit thread that was like massively upvoted, massively commented on, that people were suffering through these issues as well. There was a big Kotaku piece that was written about it last week as well. Well, finally, Nintendo is going to be facing a class action lawsuit over the Joy-Con design issue. This is from James O'Connor over at VG247. It says, a law firm in the US is filing a lawsuit against Nintendo for the Joy-Con drifting issues. As reported by Go Nintendo, the law office of Kemichaels, Schwartz Kreiner, and Donaldson Smith, that's the most lawyer-sounding law firm name I've ever heard in my life, is filing a class action lawsuit against Nintendo, citing a common problem for many users. Joy-Con drift is when the sticks on the left controllers start to, not the left, on the little controllers start to automatically drift in one direction after extended use. Sometimes this issue can be fixed with calibration, but many users report that their Joy-Cons have become unusable over time. CSK&D, which that's a much better abbreviation was seeking testimonials from the public before moving forward and has now decided to file their suit. Quote, CSK&D has filed a class action lawsuit against Nintendo of America, Inc. for claims relating to alleged defects in the Joy-Con controllers that are part of the Nintendo Switch gaming consoles, end quote. Their website read, quote, the complaint filed in the United States District Court for the Western District of Washington alleges that the joysticks on Joy-Con controllers are defective, leading users to experience drift issues. The quote continues, specifically, the complaint alleges that the joystick on the Joy-Con controllers will automatically register movement when the joystick is not being controlled by the user and interfere with gameplay. The complaint, filed on behalf of purchasers of Switches and Joy-Con controllers, brings claims under various consumer protection statutes as well as various warranty and common law claims. It's always a little interesting to hear like video games speak in like legalese, and this isn't like heavy legalese, right? Like we're not having to parse through this to figure out what it says, but like it's kind of like when you see a news story like on a local news about a game, like back when local news they were covering like Fortnite and shit. And it was just like, it's clear they didn't know anything that they were talking about. They were just reading off a teleprompter, something that somebody had written. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's outside of the context of like the gaming sphere, it always just sounds a little weird. But this has probably been one of the weirdest stories in terms of the way that people have been reacting to it. And so I constantly bring up the fact that like I'm a part of a bunch of gaming groups online and on Facebook, and I follow gaming Twitter really closely, and a bunch of different gaming subreddits as well, and just seeing people's reaction to this. I don't understand fanboyism. I never have, I never will. Like how we can be loyal to corporations who see us as dollars and cents and bottom line figures. Like at the end of the day, I have no clue why we get so like hell-bent on standing behind a logo, standing behind a piece of plastic. Like at the end of the day, we're the customers, right? And these corporations should be working to serve our best interest, and when they aren't, we need to be willing to call them out, right? And it doesn't make you less of a fan to call out when a company is doing something less than ideal. In fact, I think it makes you a better fan because you're constantly giving feedback to the companies that you give money to in order to hopefully, have them improve their products, right? But I've been seeing so many Nintendo apologists in this story, and probably some that are going to be in the comments of this video, talking about their own individual experience and saying like, I've never experienced the stick drift, and so this must be something that's just blown out of proportion. And it's like, look, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. And given the fact that I have seen thousands of people talking about having this issue, may indicate that there is a problem here. Now look, I I bought a Switch a few months after the console launched, and I have not had a single issue out of my Joy-Cons as of yet. But I also know that there was connectivity issues with the left Joy-Con at one point, that ended up, having to get rectified. And despite the fact that I didn't personally, firsthand, experience said issues, does not mean that the issues didn't exist. And we have this problem, not just in gaming, not just in this story, right? Just in the universe, to where if we have never experienced something firsthand, it must not exist. It is the classic Facebook argument that I see on all kinds of social issues. Well, I've lived for 50 years. I've never experienced racism. I'm like, yeah, you're a white dude in the South, man. Like, of course you haven't experienced racism. Or like, oh man, millennials talking about how they missed the boat on poverty. Missed the boat on the American prosperity and the dream, and they're having to live in poverty. Like, oh man, I grew up just fine and was able to make a way for myself without this, that, and that. And it's like, well, yeah, but just because you haven't experienced something does not mean that it doesn't exist. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist on some grand scale. And that's the case with this stick drift issue, right? There are enough people who are talking about this. The Kotaku article, the author of that talks about how they were starting to experience it while playing the new Fire Emblem game. They didn't really say anything about it, but thinking that they had just, maybe done something to their console. But when they brought it up in their office, 4 other people at Kotaku were like, oh yeah, we've experienced that. Yeah, we've experienced that issue as well. And there's not a ton of people probably that work at Kotaku, and they probably didn't talk to, it probably wasn't like a comprehensive polling of everybody, exhaustive, so it is an issue, right? And as a company who is asking you to spend big money on these items, I mean, Joy-Cons are $80 brand new without a discount, right? I know there's been sales going on, but like there have been, these things are $80 to purchase, right? The least that I should be able to expect is that they're going to work for more than a few months before breaking. And a lot of these people have said, hey, I bought these Joy-Cons 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, and they're already starting to give me these issues. And that's unacceptable. And Nintendo needs to be called out for those things. They need to go back to the drawing board on their design. And if they've broken any laws, then they need to be held accountable for that. I think about like the original PS4 controllers, right? They had the thumbstick issue where like the rubber padding on the thumbstick would wear away. I am not hard on my controllers at all. At all. Every single controller I own, they have a dock for them. I don't throw my controllers. The most I'll do is like, if I get mad, I'll like give them a little squeeze, right? Like I'll pick up, like if I'm playing something and it makes me mad, I'll do that. Like push my hands together. But outside of that, like I am not rough on my controllers. And so, but with the PlayStation 4 controller, my original one, I bought it from GameStop, right? And I bought it with the 1-year warranty on it because I was stupid. Never buy the warranty at GameStop, especially if it's only 1 year and it's a brand new console, because almost every single brand new console is going to come with at least a 1-year manufacturer's warranty on it. But anyway, and the grip on my thumbstick started to come off, and when I took it back to GameStop, they were like, "Yeah, you can just use the warranty that you purchased on it." And I had to use my warranty, but it was like that was an issue that tons of people were having, and they went back to the drawing board and they readdressed the way that they went about coating the thumbsticks. Like they changed the material. And so, yeah, I think we as consumers have a responsibility to call this stuff out. And I think it's a pivotal time for Nintendo to take care of this, not just in this legal sense of making this, making this problem go away with a settlement or, however they're going to deal with this class action lawsuit. But they're about to come out with the Nintendo Switch Lite. Now, let me pull up a picture to remind you guys of why this matters. And while this is loading, I'm going to move this light. There we go. I had a shiny, shiny forehead. I still need to angle that up. I'll fix it here in just a second. But so the Nintendo Switch Lite is coming out, right? I'm going to pull this picture up to refresh our memories about a design choice that they have made with this console, right? Notice how this is a shitty picture. Oh, here we go. Notice how the Joy-Cons are fully attached, right? And so if they're using the same thumbstick technology as they are on the regular Nintendo Switch, if a thumbstick on my regular Switch breaks, I'm out $80 because I got to replace the Joy-Cons, right? If it breaks on this, however, right? I'm out $200 because I've got to get the whole system replaced, right? And see, the other thing is, like, they're making people pay shipping charges to send these back to get them dealt with. Other people are advising, like, hey, there's a way for you to be able to open up your system and fix this thing. And it's like, look, if I spend $300 on something, and I'm talking about the regular Switch right now, if I spend $300 on something, I should be able to have the reasonable expectation that I am not going to have to break this thing open within the first 4 months of me purchasing it. You know? Think about, like, the Red Ring of Death issue, right? There were certainly some at homebrew, like there were like homebrewed fixes that you could do to fix the Red Ring of Death. But you should not be expected to do that when you spend the kind of money that you're going to have to spend to purchase these things. This is a big moment for Nintendo to make right what they've done wrong, but also to the further this goes, if this continues to be a story and continues to be an issue, especially as we get closer and closer to the September launch date of the Nintendo Switch Lite, it may possibly start to impact people's excitement and the sales of this console. When people are like, hey, the regular Nintendo, the original Nintendo Switch has some joystick issues, and you may want to avoid this console until you're absolutely sure that this isn't going to suffer from that too. I don't know. But if you're one of those Nintendo apologists that's going on the forums telling people that they're babies and they need to fucking suck it up, or that this isn't a real issue, like, grow up, man. Grow up. Problems like this exist, and your fanboyism isn't helping anybody. Nintendo's not going to see your comment and send you free copies of games or anything, or make you the next freaking, CEO of Nintendo because you came to their defense in their time of need. Like, it's a real problem. It's a real issue. Multiple people are having it. And it needs to be dealt with.